Centuries spanning a millennium, both before and after Jesus, witnessed the inclusion of a select group of writings into the revered scriptures of both Jews and Christians. Even today, this modest compilation is embraced by many as the divine word of God. Yet, amidst the sacred texts, a multitude of religious writings deemed significant in that era were omitted from the Holy Bible. What is contained in those rejected books, and why were they left out from the holy writings? Join us as we delve into a full documentary of books that were banned from the Bible. Number 1. Marcion's Bible Revolution. The tale of the Forbidden Bible unfolds approximately 150 years after Jesus' birth, centering around a figure named Marcion, an unexpected agitator for a Christian version of the Holy Bible. Marcion, also known as the Mus Punta Cus of Ponte Graz, was a wealthy and influential church leader with strong theological convictions. As a literalistic Bible believer, he was shocked and horrified by what he perceived in the Jewish Bible, seeing a God he found harsh, vindictive, and legalistic. Convinced that the God of the Hebrew Bible did not align with the teachings of Jesus, Marcion took matters into his own hands. He created his own Christian Bible, banning Hebrew scriptures and erasing references to the Old Testament in the Gospel of Luke, the only gospel he deemed worthy, along with Paul's letters. Despite criticism, Marcion's idea gained traction among second-century Christians, fueling the notion that the new Christian religion needed a distinct Bible. During Marcion's era, church fathers began crafting lists of books deemed essential for a Christian Bible and those to be excluded. This selection process considered various writings circulating in Christian communities since the 1st century, including the 4 Gospels, Acts of the Apostles, and the epistles of Timothy, Titus, and Paul. These letters were Paul's personal and occasional writings, addressing specific needs within different churches. Around the year 150 AD, numerous manuscripts were emerging, penned by the rising Christian leaders and theologians across the Roman Empire and beyond. However, an officially recognized Bible was still a century away. Then, on October 28, 312, a significant moment arrived, changing the course of history. Constantine, preparing for battle to claim Rome, had a vision of a cross in the sky. Legend has it that Jesus spoke to him, urging conquest in his name. Remarkably, Constantine emerged victorious the next day, defeating the dreadful Maxentius and securing his position as the sole emperor of Rome. This vision of the cross and the subsequent triumph fueled Constantine's newfound interest in Christianity. The pagan civilization that had once overseen Jesus' crucifixion was on the verge of embracing the faith it had previously sought to destroy. As emperor, Constantine wore multiple hats: a wise politician, statesman, diplomat, and warrior. Recognizing the need for order and unity in the empire, he saw religion as a potential unifying force. The Near East during Constantine's time was a diverse patchwork of perspectives, peoples, races, and religions. With various Jewish and Christian groups and pagan worship coexisting, questions arose about the proper path of worship within each community. Constantine aimed to navigate these complexities and forge a unifying religious purpose that could bring together the diverse inhabitants of the empire. Number 2. The quest for a unified Christian canon. Within the early church, a rich story of Christian beliefs existed, ranging from Jewish Christians to Gentile Christians, and from more mystical to legalistic perspectives. A fierce theological battle unfolded between 2 prominent figures: a monastic from Alexandria, who viewed Jesus as the highest created being, but not God, and Anthony, bishop of the Alexandrian Church, passionately asserting Jesus as both man and God. The conflict reached a boiling point, prompting Emperor Constantine to intervene. 300 years after Jesus' execution, Constantine summoned all Christian bishops to Nicaea, his summer palace in modern Turkey. The goal was to resolve the dispute and achieve consensus on the nature of Jesus. Was he human, divine, or both? The resulting Nicene Creed affirmed Jesus as both man and God, and the Alexandrian viewpoint prevailed. To further solidify Christian doctrine, the bishops aimed to create an accepted canon, a volume of sacred texts. Eusebius, bishop of Caesarea, played a crucial role. His fascination with Christian antiquities and extensive manuscript studies influenced the inclusion of accepted books like the Gospels and Paul's letters. In Eusebius's church history, he listed 18 books he believed should constitute Christian rule, presenting a diverse range of accepted and debated texts, including the Apocalypse of John. John's Apocalypse, filled with its vivid and violent imagery, sparked controversy among contemporaries who questioned its cooperation with the peaceful message of the Savior. The depiction of Babylon's destruction, cast into the sea with the force of a millstone, raised concerns about the inclusion of such strong language and curses in the Bible. Eusebius, tasked by Emperor Constantine to craft an official Christian Bible, grappled with these debates. In Eusebius's church history, he outlined books he deemed accepted, disputed, and skeptical. Among the disputed ones were John's second and third letters, Peter's letters James and Jude. Heretical works, like the Shepherd of Hermas, were considered forbidden, lacking widespread recognition across Christian communities. 6 years after the Council of Nicaea, Constantine entrusted Eusebius with the weighty task of compiling an official Christian Bible. In a letter, Constantine instructed Eusebius to prepare 50 copies of the sacred scriptures, combining the Hebrew scriptures with chosen Christian manuscripts to create a comprehensive Old and New Testament. This unified volume, in stark contrast to Marcion's divisive approach, sought to harmonize diverse Christian perspectives into a singular authoritative text. 50 lovely Bibles, carefully crafted on vellum and parchment, were commissioned for the Church of Constantinople. Constantine, concerned with the beauty of his new capital, aimed to grace each of its numerous churches with these splendid Bibles. However, the specific list of books contained in Constantine's commissioned Bible remains lost to time, with possibilities suggested by ancient fragments like the Codex Vaticanus and the Codex Sinaiticus. Number 3. The Untold Stories of Adam and Eve. The Life of Adam and Eve, a forbidden text, presented a different narrative of deceit and betrayal, emphasizing Eve's innocence. While excluded from the Bible, it gained popularity in its time. The narrative explained Eve's temptation, providing a larger context for the Genesis story and offering an alternate viewpoint on her fall from grace. Despite the mystery surrounding its exclusion, the Life of Adam and Eve offered an intriguing tale of forbidden knowledge, jealousy among angels, and a stubborn Satan. The uncertainties about its authorship and timeline contribute to the riddle, leaving modern readers with a glimpse into ancient perspectives on well-known biblical figures. During a time when many Jews faced temptations from other faiths, the author of Jubilees sought to preserve the purity of Jewish beliefs. The book, often considered fundamentalist, offers an account of the struggles of the first human beings, commencing with Moses. Jubilees emerges as an attempt to address unanswered questions in Genesis, taking a literal approach and attempting to explain every detail. However, it ventures into controversial territory, presenting a chilling revelation about Cain's mysterious wife. According to Jubilees, Adam and Eve had 9 children, including Cain's younger sister, whom he married, offering a unique perspective on biblical narratives. The book's exclusion from the Holy Bible may be attributed to its literalism, tackling sensitive topics like incest, which contradicted societal norms. Despite its rejection by mainstream Judaism and Christianity, Jubilees found its way into the hands of the Essenes, a Jewish sect that considered the text significant. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, included Jubilees among other ancient documents. Interestingly, Jubilees, never canonized or declared holy by recognized Christian leaders, found a home in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church's Old Testament. Ethiopia's isolation from outside influences allowed it to merge Jewish and Christian traditions, creating a unique Christian literature. The Ethiopian community preserved Jubilees, offering a distinctive perspective on the stories of Genesis. Jubilees is just one example of ancient texts providing alternative narratives of creation. Lost for centuries, these writings delve into themes of fallen angels, bloodthirsty giants, and warnings to humanity, offering a rich tapestry of diverse interpretations of biblical stories. The ancient Book of Enoch is a captivating composition brimming with divine secrets, dreams, and visions, offering readers a guided tour through the realms of heaven and hell by the angel Uriel. Named after Enoch, a man briefly mentioned in the book of Genesis as one who walked with God, the narrative sheds light on a figure about whom little is known. Enoch, according to Genesis, walked with God for 300 years after the birth of Methuselah, having other sons and daughters. His extraordinary life concluded with God taking him, and he vanished from the earthly realm. Despite the scant details in Genesis, the Book of Enoch imagines the possibilities of what Enoch might have witnessed during his heavenly journey. This formidable manuscript spans 108 chapters across multiple volumes, and while deemed essential by many ancient Christians, it was excluded from the Christian Bible for reasons that remain unclear. The Book of Enoch introduces divine judgments and impending floods, attributing the world's corruption to the sons of God, or angels, who succumbed to temptation and lusted after mortal women, often referred to as watchers. One intriguing aspect of the Book of Enoch is its potential to elaborate on the mysterious giants mentioned in Genesis, born from the unions of the sons of God and the daughters of the earth. Reading Genesis raises numerous unanswered questions, and Enoch's narrative might have aimed to provide additional insights into the mysterious events preceding the flood, offering a richer perspective on the biblical account. Significant sections of the Book of Enoch have been discovered within the literature of the Essenes, concealed in the caves of Qumran as part of the renowned Dead Sea Scrolls. Number 4. Lost Chronicles and Forbidden Tales. In the 2nd century, the Jesus movement was growing up, still lacking formal leaders or an official text. Early Christians were eager for information about their Savior, finding limited details in the Gospels of Luke and Matthew. While these Gospels offered some insights into Jesus' birth, they remained mostly silent about his early years. However, a non-canonical book, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, not included in the Bible, addresses Jesus' childhood. Thomas, an Israelite, reports to non-Jewish audiences about the extraordinary deeds of Jesus between the ages of 5 and 12. The early church fathers were aware of these stories. The earliest existing copy of the Infancy Gospel of Thomas dates back to the 6th century, with a clue suggesting circulation as early as 185 AD. The book, attributed to an unknown author, begins with disturbing miracle stories, including Jesus allegedly making sparrows from clay by the River Jordan. Authorities reported to Joseph, Jesus' father, about him working on the Sabbath, prompting a warning. In another story, one of Jesus' playmates is killed, leading to upset parents. However, Jesus, with a growing reputation in the village, denies involvement, and to prove his innocence, he raises the playmate from the dead. Over a century before the New Testament became official, a manuscript known as the Evangelion of James emerged, aiming to fill in the gaps in Mary's life, absent from the Gospel stories. This book is often considered the earliest document focusing on Mary, sparking a profound interest in her within the church tradition. Despite its popularity, the Evangelion of James was excluded from the New Testament. Placing it at the beginning of the New Testament might overshadow Jesus with Mary, potentially delaying the introduction of Jesus. The Proto-Evangelium, Proto-Evangelia, opens with Mary's middle-aged parents, Joachim and the barren Anna. The couple fervently prayed for a child, with Anna eventually giving up. It is precisely when Anna abandons her prayer that an angel appears, proclaiming that God has heard her plea and she will conceive a child. This miraculous conception of Mary, seen by some early theologians, is considered extraordinary because Anna was believed to be barren according to their perspective. Several gospel books faced exclusion from the Bible, including the Gospel according to Thomas, the Gospel according to Philip, the Gospel of the Egyptians, and the Gospel of Truth. These were not part of the New Testament Gospels, but offered new Christian perspectives on Jesus. Interestingly, early Christians were drawn to these forbidden texts, despite their prohibition by church leaders. These writings not only remained excluded from the sacred canon, but were never even contemplated for inclusion. There exists a text known as the Gospel of Nicodemus, recounting Jesus' trial, execution, and descent into hell. Some skeptics, often referred to as martyrs, disputed its authenticity, asserting that it was a forgery. According to them, well-intentioned Christian writers fabricated such documents to attract converts by emphasizing the Savior's supremacy over Satan. Countless writings, likely dozens or even hundreds more, have been lost to us forever. When we delve into this fascinating array of texts from the past, we discover that people held diverse perspectives on who Jesus was, his connection to God, and his role in the lives of individual believers. It's truly disheartening to think that only a limited set of books, with their unique journeys through history, have made it into the canon. What are your thoughts on these forbidden books? Leave a comment below.